Everyone, welcome to the June 11th Board of Selectmen's meeting. Selectman Lansett couldn't make it tonight, so I'll be playing his part. One quick thing after the Pledge of Allegiance, if you could remain standing for a moment of silence for a couple of things. So that being said, if you would please all rise, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's with a heavy heart I have to make a couple of sad announcements during this moment of silence. First, I'd like to acknowledge the unexpected passing of Jean Vincent on May 30th. Jean was on the planning board. She was a department assistant at the town clerk's office, an election worker, Charles Ries Foundation, and the CERT team, just to name a few. She'll be sorely missed, and our condolences go out to her family. The second is, I'm not sure if you've seen on social media or if you have kids in school, very wonderful young man by the name of AJ Condon unfortunately succumbed to his disease and recently passed away. So if you could please just join me for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. All right, regular business. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 28th. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next up, we have community relations, announcements, and open forum. Sasha, if you would.
The Council of Aging is in search of a new pediatric nurse for just a couple of hours a month. Anyone interested should contact Michelle Drum, Council of Aging Director. The Council of Aging is in need of members as well. The town hall will be closed on June 19th, and that's for observance of Juneteenth. John Marcy, the new state representative, will hold office hours on Tuesday, July 16th from 5:30 to 6:30, and that will be meeting room 1 at the Charlton Town Library, Charlton Town Hall, sorry.
Thank you, Sasha. Anyone else on the board for announcements? Anyone here for community forum? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our appointments and resignations. First up is the appointment for the sergeant promotion for the Charlton Police Department. Chief.
Good evening. Candidate Stephen Belrose. Basically, we had a sergeant's opening with the promotion of Pete Cludier from sergeant to lieutenant. We held an exam, both written and an assessment, and Steve scored the best on that assessment and on that overall score of the written and assessment. Steve has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Steve's got several years of experience in Southbridge as both a patrolman, sergeant, and lieutenant. And I'm recommending Steve for the position of sergeant.
Excellent. Steve, well done. Very, very impressive scores from what I can see. So thank you. Very, very well done. So we have, do I hear a motion?
I can make a motion.
Second for discussion? Second. Do we have any discussion?
No.
Second.
More of an announcement than a discussion, just that nothing personnel related, no personalities, but I will be voting no on the promotion. Nothing to do with Officer Belrose. He could be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I hope to find out that he is. But it would be inconsistent of me to vote yes. In my heart, I believe, having spent years arguing about how amazing our department is and how we're blessed to have the best officers, all of whom are overwhelmingly qualified, and about promoting from within over and over and over again. And to Officer Belrose, soon to be sergeant, I would tell you that if you go for another advancement opportunity a year or two down the road, and you were in this position and someone else had come over here and just got here for a year, I would stand for you as well. Because I do believe that it's important that we talk about supporting those officers who've given their careers to the town. And I think it would be inconsistent of me to vote otherwise. But regardless, I do wish you the best. And like I said, if this was you in a year or two against another new transfer, I would stand for you as well.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Selectman Singer. Any other discussion? Hearing none on the promotion. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
No.
That'd be 3-1, Sergeant, or soon to be Sergeant. Congratulations, very well done. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I should know this. When is this effective?
It's effective the shift, if you like, because I'm cheap, I don't want to pay anybody.
Right, I was gonna say.
So,
Thanks, man. Be safe out there, Steve. Still doing well on time. Next up, we're making an appointment for the executive assistant for the highway department. Nick, as always, is in the audience.
So 42 applications were received for the executive assistant position for the highway department. Interviews were offered to 12 and conducted by Lynn Dyer and Nick Keel. They are recommending the appointment of Maureen Gilbert with a start date of July 1st, 2024, and I'd recommend the board make the appointment.
And what are the wishes of the board?
I make the motion.
Do I have a second?
A second, right?
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Nick, Lauren?
Thank you.
Good, well done. All right, welcome to the show. If you need anything, ask Nick. Okay. Thanks for coming in. Next up, one of our favorites, the Boston Post King Committee.
All right, attaches a talent bank form from Michelle Drum, Council on Aging Director, seeking to be appointed to the Boston Post King Committee. Her term expiration date would be June 30th, 2025. I recommend the board make the appointment.
Wishes of the board.
I make the motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
A second, right?
Discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm gonna call that unanimous. Very qualified. Next up, the reappointments for terms expiring June 30th.
So we've been working with committees appointed by the Board of Selectmen whose terms expire on June 30th, 2024, or as noted. Attaches a list showing outlined in pink are those who would like to be reappointed. Blue highlighted would not like to be reappointed. Nothing highlighted we have not heard from yet. The board is asked to make appointments on the list as shown to allow our office more time to reach out for the appointees. For those not seeking reappointment, letters thanking them for their service are in your sign folder. Should any changes be made, we'll bring these back to the board at your July meeting.
Thank you, Andrew. Before we actually get to a motion, does anyone have any questions, concerns?
I do have a question.
Second Rose? Oh, sure.
When we get down to, I'm looking at the sideways. of this.
Yeah, to do something, yeah. Chapter 5, section 2.
For the Glen Echo Lake Dam monitors. So it came out that they're no longer needed. But we have all the other lakes that still have dam monitors. So the highway department's gonna take over Glen Echo.
They will assist in the monitoring of Glen Echo along with the conservation director.
Why is that one singled out? Because the two guys, I talked to both. They've been doing it for 25 years. I don't know why we would have highway do it if they're still interested.
Primarily upon recommendation of the Conservation Commission.
Was it a personality issue or?
That was the recommendation of the Conservation Commission, was to utilize the DPW for the monitoring of Glen Echo.
To me, it just makes sense. If they live on that lake and they've been doing it for 25 years, they're out there having coffee, they can see what's going on with lake levels. Pretty rough. But that's all. That's
Did
my
you post
point.
any of it? I didn't post. The Glen Echo Association.
I did not receive any comment from the.
I haven't heard it.
Nobody posted.
Well, we can take it a couple ways, but I will entertain motions, however the board would like to proceed.
So can we go with the motion approving all of the whole entire list?
I'll second, yes, for discussion.
Sure. Discussion.
No.
Andrew, that work too?
Works for me.
Without any more discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next up, resignation. Andrew?
Attaches a letter from Holly Boyle resigning as a per diem dispatcher for the Charlton Police Department as of May 30th, 2024. The board should accept her resignation, and a letter thanking her for her service to the town is in your sign folder.
Wonderful.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I motion it with regret.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Good, David. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. We are a couple minutes ahead of schedule. Let's jump down to new business for the special alcoholic beverage license, please.
If you go too fast, you might upset Pete.
So attached is an application submitted by James O'Donnell for a special alcoholic beverage license to be issued on September 7th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. at Camp Jocelyn for a wedding. Application has been reviewed and approved by Police Chief, Building Commissioner, and Fire Department. For the board's policy, if a special alcoholic beverage license is approved, the dates on the license should be for the day before the event to allow the alcohol to be delivered, and the day of the event and the day after the event to allow alcohol left over to be picked up. The recommended motion is included.
I move to approve the special alcoholic beverage license as submitted by James O'Donnell for a wedding with the dates on the license to be September 6, 2024, September 8, 2020, until September 8, 2024.
Thank you, Bosh. Do I have a second? Second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. Andrew, I'm assuming we can do the request for redemption pretty quickly? Yeah, cool. New business number 2, please.
All right. Attached is a request on behalf of Santander Bank, otherwise known as Sovereign Bank, who is the owner of property located at 185 Nugget Drive. The foreclosed mortgage for the said property was due to non-payment of debt. Real estate taxes were kept on for the parcel listed, but inadvertently paid on lots 20A-B5 and 20A-B6 and 20A-B7, causing them to go delinquent and end up in tax title sale with the town of Charlton taking them. They're requesting redemption of these lots to reinstate the collateral for the client. Treasurer Collector Virginia Porter has confirmed the amounts owed to the town for these lots, including court costs and legal fees, to be $11,987.51. The board is being asked to consider to vote to vacate the final judgment entered on November 3rd, 2023 in the tax lien foreclosure case against Mr. Michael LaValle, trustee of Philip L. LaValle Revocable Trust, and Christine M. McCarka, trustee of Philip L. LaValle Revocable Trust, covering the property is located on Nugget Drive, assessors parcel 20A-B7 on Nugget Drive, and assessors parcel 20A-B6 on Nugget Drive, assessors parcel 20A-B8, 20A-B5.
And my understanding is we received the check, so we should be good to go.
Yes.
We did.
So if someone wouldn't mind reading in italics, for at least discussion.
I move for, as provided under MGL Chapter 60, Section 69, the Charlton Board of Selectmen hereby move to vacate the final judgment entered on November 3rd, 2023 in Massachusetts Land Court Tax Lien Foreclosure Case Number 19TL000756. Town of Charlton v. Michael LaValle, trustee of Philip I. LaValle Revocable Trust, and Christine and Macara, trustee of Philip L. LaValle Revocable Trust, covering the properties located on Nugget Drive, assessors parcel 20A-B-7, on Nugget Drive, assessors parcel 20A-B-6, and on Nugget Drive, assessors parcel 28-B-5, as a result of payment of $11,987.51 in certified funds made to the town. Said amount represents payment of all amounts due to redeem the tax taking covering the properties, which include, but are not limited to, taxes and interest to the date of this meeting, June 11, 2024, all charges and fees associated with the foreclosure case, and any cost incurred by the town in the care, custody, and control of the properties after the entry of the judgment. The town is in possession of the amount required to redeem. Upon payment to the town of the full redemption amount, the town will take the necessary action to vacate the foreclosure judgment and withdraw the foreclosure case in the Massachusetts Land Court.
Basha, thank you for reading that. Do I have a second for discussion?
Sure.
Second from David. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Pretty
Aye.
plain.
All those opposed? All that unanimous, which brings us to our 6:45. Mr. Murphy, I know you're in the audience. So as a reminder, this is around the continuation, the meeting is still open, or the hearing is still open, if you will. This is regarding the Murphy's dog and the dangerous dog hearing. We had a bunch of information last time around. I think this time around, if anyone has any new information, and again, I stress new, that they'd like to provide, that would be great. And if not, we can just have what I would hope be a relatively quick conversation, see if we can come up with some type of compromise, and then take it from there. So, Mr. Murphy, I don't know if you want to come up or how you want to do. Oh, actually, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Sean Murray, I'm here with Mr. Murphy, and
Oh, yeah.
we can work together to reach a resolution.
Yeah, sure thing.
So.
Oh, actually, did you want to come up first? I'm sorry.
It might make sense.
Yeah, sorry, guys. That's my bad.
Kelly Flynn.
Yes, thank you.
Animal control. Emily had it,
For,
Oh, yes. So
yeah, so you didn't swear in?
I was
last
not
time?
sworn in the
Yeah,
So
last
I
time.
think I have to just move that part.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Emily's not here, so Kelly's our.
You have to give me 1 second, hold on.
Sorry, but I completely forgot we're here last time. That's my bad. Sorry, guys. That's my bad.
Good to meet you since last week.
Andrew, feel free to ad hoc or like ad lib. I think we get the whole what we're trying to do.
Do you solemnly swear, affirm that what you state will be the whole truth? Whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good.
Well done. He would.
So first I was gonna read, what Emily, put together for tonight, and then I will tell you, I did go over and visit the house today, so I'll just fill you in a little bit on that.
Please.
So, to answer a question that, sorry, this is Emily.
Yeah.
To answer a question that came up at the last hearing, I was able to look into other brown dogs in the neighborhood of James Way and Marissa Circle, where I only found one other dog that is described as an all-brown dog that resides at 7 James Way as a Chesapeake Bay Retriever who is the color chestnut. I will be heading over to James Way on Tuesday, June 11th, to see that dog in person and can give an update at the meeting. On Monday, June 3rd, 2024, I received an email from Kristen Lemire stating that she wanted to give me a quick follow-up. She stated that when she said she didn't know the dog that bit her, it was because she didn't know the names of the dogs, but knew that they have 2 very similar-looking dogs that resemble the dog that bit her. Kristen stated that she was absolutely bitten by one of the dogs owned by the Murphys, as they are clearly displayed on Jean Murphy's Facebook account, and was able to identify the dog with the larger square head, which is wearing a green bandana, in a photo from Jean's Facebook page. I told Kristen that I was able to identify some other brown dogs in the neighborhood, as Sean Murphy requested. Kristen stated it absolutely was not the dog at 7 James Way, who has fluffy wavy hair and who she interacts with quite often. On Monday, June 3rd, 2024, I contacted Jean Murphy via email and told her that I would like to come over to the house to see the dogs, check out the property where the dogs could have escaped from, and discuss their preventative measures, and if she would give me some good days and times that were good for her. On Thursday, June 6, 2024, I received an email from Jean Murphy advising me to seek out their attorney with any questions that I may have, so I was not able to see the dogs or fenced-in area at that time. I will reiterate what I said, which is that I don't believe this dog needs to be deemed dangerous, but I will say that Kristen was the only one present at the time of the event and is the only one who can identify the dog that bit her.
And again, for those at home, that's from ACOCS.
Yes. So I did go over to the Murphy's house today. Mr. Murphy let me look at I met both of the dogs. They're both good with me. They let me see the backyard. He said you got pictures of that, I believe. He did add an electric wire on top of the chain link fence that's already there. And he did fasten like a bungee cord type of things onto the gate latches. So the gate latches they have there, I have them at our kennel in Oxford too, and it's like a U shape and it goes down like that around the pole. Those dogs can bump those up. So he bungee corded those down so they're not able to do that at this point. I do know that, when Emily made recommendations, she recommended the self-closing and self-latching doors for the gate. So there's one single gate and then there's a double gate in the whole fenced-in back area. And the fence is approximately 279 feet long. It's 4 feet, it's a 4-foot high fence. It's very solid. I did not see any evidence of dogs digging under anywhere. There was all just grass there. So you go out the back deck, it's a big deck, and you go down the stairs, and then the whole yard is fenced in. I didn't see any evidence of the dogs like going under the deck and out that way somehow. There was some lattice work there, but nothing was chewed on or nothing looked like it was recently replaced. And there was no like burrowing under that anywhere either. So, and also Emily did suggest that the fence height be extended to a height that prevents the dog from jumping the fence, or add an electric fence as a second barrier. And Mr. Murphy did say that there was a electric fence in the ground as well, that he does not have hooked up right now, but, that's another option.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Any questions for her before?
No.
Right, thank you, no, but
One
don't
other
go
thing-
too far, just in case.
Sorry, one other thing I will say is, Emily provided me with a picture that they got off of, Facebook of the two dogs. And they definitely were the dogs that I did see today. Mr. Murphy declined to allow me to take pictures per the advice of his lawyers, I understand it, of the dogs. I took pictures of the fence, but not the dog.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry, was it Attorney
Murphy, yeah.
Murray, please, come on up. All right, let's see if we can find a compromise on this, so we can all go on with our.
And if I could just briefly, I appreciate the challenge that these things, issues pose for the board, and on behalf of Mr. Murphy and his wife, I think we'd like to try to reach a resolution to this. I did look at the meeting, the video of the meeting, and clearly there's a lot of emotion involved here. I still think there may be some issue in terms of the identity of the dog that was involved. I appreciate the testimony that was just given. Mr. Murphy, I believe, testified that he did let the dog out, both dogs out in the backyard. And I remind this is a 5-year-old dog that has no history of any type of violence or aggressive behavior. Let the dogs out, and then these same two dogs were let back in, and they were both in that fenced-in area. So the idea that these dogs, or this dog jumped over a 4-foot fence, which is something that the dog had never historically done before or after, is something that, I think we're struggling to kind of accept, just given the history and given the fact that the dog has never done that before. Notwithstanding that, Murphys are trying to be good neighbors here and try to, address any concerns that the neighbors may have. He did already, as indicated, put that electric fence, wire on the top of the fence to again deter the dogs and discourage the dogs from coming close to the fence. And he's indicated a willing, at a considerable cost, that older underground fence is probably not operational. And if it's not, to put in additional underground wiring with the dogs on the collar some feet away from the fence to deter the dogs from approaching the fence, and even getting in a position where the dog could jump. And again, there's just no history of the dog ever doing that before, jumping over the fence. The idea of putting an 8-foot fence is not something, quite frankly, that the Murphys are interested in doing. The cost of that would be considerable, and I think would turn their backyard aesthetically into something that would look like a prison, and they don't want to do that. I think the recommendations that we're willing to make here, I think will address the concerns, and keep the dog inside that fenced-in area, and hopefully put this kind of issue to bed.
So what I'm hearing, just to reiterate, is, or paraphrase, is that currently So between the locking of the gates with the bungee cords or whatever. term-
Yeah, and any other additional
Yeah, we
things
can
along
figure
that line we
Yeah.
can work with.
There's currently an augmented electric on top of the fence.
Correct.
And then based upon ACO Sears recommendation, it was one of two things, either to bump up the fence to 6 feet or 6 feet plus, or to have some type of electric fence outside of that's already on top of that, to discourage dogs from even going there.
So you have 3 layers of protection. You'd have the top of the fence of electric current, you'd have the collar with an additional electric current, and you have the fence itself.
Mhm.
And again, you know, there's just no history of the dog, either of these dogs acting aggressively or jumping over the fence, you know, and putting aside the issue of the identity of what dog was actually involved here.
Didn't you say that the collar underground one isn't operational?
It was an old one, right?
Yeah, that was installed years ago, but I don't know the integrity of it based on the fence installation. They could have easily pierced that because it's in the same general track, so just estimating that, and, you know, it's older technology, they're not gonna, somebody's not gonna sell you.
But the top wire is operational
Oh, yeah,
and working.
oh, yeah. exactly.
That's not a collar one, that's just if they touch it, they,
Any touch it gets out.
Kind of like for cattle type of thing, I'm assuming, yeah.
Sure you.
Completely different.
So besides the fence and the electric wire on top, you're talking about making the invisible fence, which is what they refer to the in-ground wires operation. That does require training. So the dogs have the collar, they know as they approach, they learn to stay. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you're not saying the wire is that you're saying the wire is there, but you're going to also make the invisible fence operational as well.
Yes.
Okay. Just for clarification.
And I guess we would request, you know, given this offer of compromise, that this be done without a formal finding of dangerousness or nuisance or what have you. I mean, just in the spirit of compromise here, that
With a time frame on that new electric underground.
you know, I'm not sure how quickly the company can get out there, but I would guess within 60 days.
I was gonna say within 60 days sounds,
So Kelly can go and,
sounds reasonable. Yeah, 60 days, I think, yeah. So we're thinking about a compromise with you guys right now of basically continuing the hearing, but as an abeyance based upon these conditions, almost like a continue without a finding, that as long as this gets done within whatever the motion could potentially be, 60 or 90 days, close the hearing, done. Like, there's no official finding of nuisance or dangerousness, assuming that these conditions are put in, then at least for now, this goes away. However, I just have to say this in fairness for myself, if there is another incident, things will escalate very quickly. But assuming that we never have to deal with this again, I think it will give some neighbors a certain peace of mind. It allows you to, you know, take care of your dogs without, you know, a tremendous expense. And maybe this was just a one-off for this particular dog, if assuming that this was one of the dogs, which I tend to believe it was. So that's what I'm thinking, but I defer to the
no,
wishes
I think this is a
of majority of the board.
Motion.
Second, sir, floor is yours.
So, Mr. Chair, I move to hold the hearing open and in abeyance for a period of 90 days under the condition that the Murphys add an invisible fence or construct a minimum 6-foot fence with automatic closing, locking gates, and that there be no additional reported dog bites or attacks during that time frame. So we put in the
and for us to
option,
go and examine and see that it's there.
correct,
Kelly
but we've
or-
added in the option to have the invisible fence in lieu of the 6-foot fence.
And if it's not installed within 90 days, we're gonna have honestly a good reason why, to be candid. Do I have a second for discussion?
second.
Discussion, folks.
The only thing I say is that I hope this solves a problem, because none of us ever want to see either side of a dog hearing, because it's just never good for anyone involved.
Understood.
So we're gonna put it on the agenda. You know, we didn't have time, right?
Emily,
We'll work with ACO Sears and assistant, you know, Flynn to figure it out, but any,
I think 3 layers of protection is reasonable, very reasonable. And I hope that makes the neighborhood, the neighbors
again,
more
because,
comfortable.
yeah, I mean, my thing is quite, again, candidly, is that this was the first incident with this dog. And I agree with ACO Sears. I don't think it's a dangerous dog. Even if we can identify exactly which one, and I believe Kristen when she can identify who the dog was. I think these things happen as dog owners. I don't believe in draconian punishments on the first time on things. And I think this is a fair compromise for the 90 days. But again, if something happens again, it's going to be taken into account. But that being said, I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with this.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there are basically only three options that this board really has. This one, or declare a nuisance or dangerous dog, which is only ever really done at the recommendation of the animal control officer, which the ACO did not want to deem nuisance or dangerous.
All right. So again,
If it does, and I'm hopeful it won't, if it does happen again, is that strike number 2 or is that strike number 1?
in theory, I would, well, if it happened after those 90 days, that it would be, we would close the hearing officially. And then if it happened again, hypothetically, it could be considered strike 1, but it's one of those, again, that's why I'm going on record now saying that
Strike 1 with an
I
asterisk.
won't be putting.
So, but realistically,
But hopefully it doesn't come to this.
You know,
again, just opinions, but realistically, I think it would be strike 2. And I think, again, because we have to go on the ACO's recommendation, my guess is that she would come in automatically and be like, designated nuisance to start.
And evaluate it again, yeah. I just wanna put it out there that I absolutely believe, Christine, that you were attacked. Like I said, I completely believe in you. And I can't wait, you know, for those 90 days to come to the fruition and you actually doing what you're supposed to do. And on the personal, emotional side, I really hope you will at least try to make some amends with those neighbors, because who wants to, you know, live around people that actually are not so much fond of you? That's my only hope, you know, that aside of the fence, you'll kind of try to find a way to communicate with your neighbors and make them amends. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? That's unanimous. We're all set. Once it does get figured out, talk to Andrew. We'll get it figured out. Just to have a quick inspection.
And we need to come back
Oh,
in 90 days if it's done.
yeah, no, we'll just,
Only if there's an issue.
Okay,
yeah, we'll just officially close
understood.
like the hearing without finding at that point.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Perfect, Attorney Murray, thank you for coming in. Next up, new business, Memorial Day National Moment of Remembrance Act. I got Andrew, and I know this is one of David's.
Oh, that was cool, yeah.
Remind me to talk to you. Something. Unrelated, I can't say it now.
Okay.
It's over, but I do want to make a comment later.
All right, bring it up with your other business.
No, it's not unrelated to, it's not something personal.
All right.
So at the board's last meeting, Mr. Singer stated that when President Clinton was in office, he signed in the act that at 3 p.m. on Memorial Day, there would be a moment of silence. He requested that after Memorial Day concludes, a siren be sounded at 3 p.m. for a moment of silence, and that this be a new tradition for Charlton. Attaches the act that was referenced for the board to review. How does the board wish to proceed in the matter?
Thank you.
David, anything else to say first?
Just that, I mentioned Israel that does it, they do it for 2 minutes nationally. I think we don't need to go quite that long. I was thinking even a 10-second siren moment of silence would be ample. I think it was Pete, who's not here, but he had mentioned there might be something up at Bay Path. Plus we have fire station cruisers, so we could easily have sirens go for 10 seconds at 3 p.m. on Memorial Days. Plenty of time to notify the public that we are going to be doing this. And I think it's also a nice way to remind those who don't make it to the Memorial Day parade, who maybe just are home barbecuing or just doing other things, that there's a little reminder for them as well to stop for 10 seconds, please, and just take a moment of silence.
So Selectman Singer, the thought being that at 3 o'clock sirens go off.
For 10 seconds, moment of silence.
Okay, so, all right, so.
You can make it longer.
No, that's
I thought if you do 30, it's a long time.
I was thinking siren would like alert somebody to do the moment of silence afterwards, but if you're saying for 10
The
seconds.
siren goes for 10 seconds.
All right,
It's the 10 seconds, that's the moment.
And what triggers it? Is it?
It's 3 p.m.
3 p.m. on
3
Memorial Day,
p.m. on the Memorial Day.
usually right after our ceremony concludes.
Yeah,
Well, I should say the veteran ceremony.
the time actually.
Yeah, which we always finish.
Yeah.
Funny, by around 3 o'clock.
So do I have a motion?
So,
I have a motion by David, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Basha, discussion.
No.
Hearing none, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous.
Thank you. Andrew, I'll leave it to you to coordinate with police, fire, whoever we have to make that happen.
Old business, I believe this is also from Selectman Singer via Andrew.
Okay. Request, at the last week from Selectman Singer, asked for an update on both PFAS and crumbling concrete. So related to PFAS, on October 2nd, 2020, Mass DEP had published its PFAS public drinking water standard of 20 parts per trillion for some of the concentrations of 6 specific PFAS chemicals. On April 10th, 2024, the EPA announced a national primary drinking water regulation for those 6 PFAS chemicals, which further reduce the minimum containment levels for these contaminants. So in 2022, Mass DEP had conducted free PFAS testing for a limited number of private wells, focusing on Massachusetts towns where more than 60% of its residents were served by private wells. This included the town of Charlton, and as part of that survey, 26 private wells in Charlton were sampled. Of the wells that were sampled, 8% of those exceeded the maximum of Massachusetts maximum containment level as identified. That comprehensive list and all available resources related to PFAS is available on the Mass DEP website. So I don't know if there's anything further that you're looking for.
Just that I think the 8% is good and bad. Good that it's only 8%. Bad if you're in that 8%.
I know Dudley has some significant issues with this, they said to put in a new pump station.
Right, and I think that was specifically to the water supply.
Yeah.
Versus the.
Oh, I'm
private
sorry.
drinking water.
Yeah.
And then just relative to crumbling concrete, on January 18th, 2024, Senate Bill S-2559, which was the act relative to crumbling concrete foundations, was reported favorably by the Committee on Environmental and Natural Resources and then referred to the Senate Ways and Means Committee. Since that time, there's been no further action by the Senate Ways and Means on this matter. But on June 3rd, 2024, Bill 4707, which was the act relative to affordable homes, that was filed by the House Committee on Ways and Means. There was an amendment filed to the bill to consider establishing that the Crumbling Concrete Assistance Fund. That amendment was included in the version of the bill that was ratified by the House. So right now that's gone through the House and still waiting for Senate action.
Mr. Chair, so if the board would humor me, I'm assuming we would have to take this course of action through Andrew, to ask Andrew to reach out to, is it MMA or neighboring communities to try and get everyone to contact their legislators to ask them to support this so that it will get support and pass through the House.
You know, we should probably make an official motion on that.
So
Do I have a second for discussion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we have an idea on how many homes in Charlton are affected? I know of at least one, if they came in front of us, but is it?
Off the top of my head, I believe there were at least 3
Yeah, I was gonna say,
identified. But
It's those ones that haven't been identified yet that make me nervous.
right,
the problem is people don't want to identify because you can get a core test sample. And if you find that it's your home, you can't sell your home.
Yeah.
So people don't want to test. So if this act were to pass and there was state assistance, that might prompt people to be like, okay, I'll have a core sample taken from the foundation. And if I have it, I'll have the state to help me. But on your own, the repair will be the cost of your home.
No, absolutely.
So people just aren't doing it.
that's actually what's in it. That's awesome.
All right, so we have a motion with a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all's in favor?
I,
Opposed? That's unanimous. Andrew, please, and thank you for that.
We'll take care of it.
Next up, we're doing the flag display for all of town and Charlton buildings. Just be aware there's another little edit that we have to make through this, but Andrew, let me turn it over.
All right, so attaches a recommended change to the flag display policy as it relates to restrictions on types of flags that may be flown. The recommended changes are italicized at the bottom. The allowed flags to be flown include the town of Charlton flag and official flags of all branches of the military, U.S. forces when appropriate. And noted by Selectman Borowski, our current policy currently references the Washington state flag. We'll change that to be the Massachusetts state flag.
So
we
we
don't
don't,
like Washington.
right,
Sorry.
no.
So my only question, we have the armed forces. May I ask that we specify POW MIA? Because that's
No.
not state or or armed forces.
That's E,
It's in there?
yeah, and or E, the POWMI,
Okay, as long as it's in there.
so we're good.
So
So I have a motion to approve the policy as amended. Do I have a second for discussion?
Second.
Discussion.
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
I,
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next up is the key and alarm code policy.
Right, in working with human resources, we feel the attached policy should be approved and put in force. This policy defines what town hall employees will be provided a key and alarm code for town hall. I recommend the board approve the policy as submitted.
Any questions of the policy? Seems pretty straightforward. Basically, we just don't want everyone in the world having keys and wanting it back. I'll entertain a motion, or we can table it for further discussion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second discussion?
Second.
Just any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Call that unanimous. Next up, item 9, TA report.
All right, so Main Street sidewalks. So Wednesday, we held the kickoff meeting with AF Amarillo on the Main Street sidewalk project and the Maynard Field project, since they were awarded both contracts. They're looking to begin mobilization for the projects as soon as next week. We'll be sending out updates on potential traffic impacts on Main Street as the project progresses on this. The library roof replacement project officially began today with the construction of scaffolding around the library addition. The project will continue through the summer, but please be aware of any impacts to parking during the project timeframe. Relative to CERT, on Wednesday night, our newest CERT members were recognized for their participation in the CERT Academy held at the Charlton Senior Center. The training academy was a 12-week program held Wednesday nights and open to the communities of Auburn, Bloomfield, Charlton, Douglas, Dudley, Oxford, Southbridge, and Sturbridge. I'd like to thank the program participants and instructors for their time and effort with this program. Additionally, over the last week, our CERT team has assisted the city of Worcester in managing housing for individuals that were displaced by a major fire that occurred on Tuesday morning. And I'd also like to thank them for their efforts on this as well. If you know anybody that's interested in the CERT team, please reach out to our office. We'll get in touch with the appropriate people. And then on Wednesday, Charlton Fire took delivery of their new ambulance A1. This followed a 1.5-year build period. And just want to commend fire department build team on designing the truck and looking forward to service to the community for the coming years.
Excellent. Questions, Rick? On a TA report, other business unknown to town.
Well, what's the time frame on the sidewalks?
Timeframe of the sidewalks is to hopefully have it done by the end of the summer.
Do we see a conflict with Old Home Day?
We'll work around Old Home Day. If it's still under construction, we'll make sure that everything's out of the right of way and buttoned up enough to not impact anything that's going on.
Any future agenda items that we want to keep ahead on, Andrew?
Do we have a second?
Yes.
And does someone have a motion?
Imagine, no, we want a second. Sorry. Our next meeting, again, we're on our summer schedule. It'll be July 9th, 2024, obviously. And now we'll be going into executive session. So I would appreciate, are you all set, sir? Oh, good.
I'll read this.
Yeah, just read that. Just don't say fire unit.
Mr. Chair, I move to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation police chief contract. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, to return to open session if needed and to adjourn.
And the chair so declares. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No. Roll call, Steve.
Aye.
Sasha?
Aye.
David? Yep. Chair votes aye. We are in executive session. We're only going to come out to adjourn. Thanks, everybody.